In the heart of medieval England, nestled between fog-swept hills and fields kissed golden by the sun, there was a small village called Elderbrook. Life there was quiet, predictable, even hard, but the people had each other. And among them lived a man named Tom Merrick, a poor peasant with dirt beneath his fingernails, stories in his soul, and eyes that twinkled with mischief even when the world offered little more than stale bread and taxes. Tom had a quick wit and a sharper tongue. He wasn't a warrior, or a merchant, or a scholar, just a man who listened well and remembered better. He worked his tiny plot of land with care, loved his wife, and helped his neighbors when he could. But what made Tom special wasn't his strength, it was his mind. And that would prove more powerful than any sword. One spring morning, a trumpet's shrill cry shattered Elderbrook's quiet. A royal messenger rode into the village square, parchment in hand and arrogance in his eyes. He unrolled the scroll and read aloud. By decree of His Majesty King Aldric of Ellenwald, all landowners must pay an additional tax, 1 full gold crown per acre. Failure to comply shall result in seizure of land and labor. The villagers gasped. A gold crown per acre? Most barely had silver. Some wept, others begged. But the crown cared little for tears. Tom, however, stood still, arms folded, eyes narrowed. Not in fear, but thought. He looked at the dusty road, the burdened faces, the greedy smirk of the tax collector. Then he said something dangerous. He laughed. When the taxman returned 2 weeks later, Elderbrook was quiet, except for Tom, who came out whistling, leading a single old cow behind him. The official raised a brow. "And where is your payment?" the man sneered. Tom bowed dramatically. "I bring a gift for His Majesty instead. Not gold, but wisdom." The taxman scoffed. "The king wants gold, not riddles." "Ah, but this is no riddle," Tom said. "Tell the king. This cow gives only 1 drop of milk a day, but if he's patient and milks it himself every morning, she'll one day produce more gold than his entire treasury." The taxman blinked. "Is this some kind of joke?" "Not at all," Tom said with a smile. "Just wisdom from a poor man." The taxman took the cow, confused, amused, and irritated. But when he repeated the words to King Aldric, something strange happened. The king laughed. 3 weeks passed. Then came the royal carriage, red velvet, gold trim, and behind it soldiers armed, stoic, grim. They came not for war, but for Tom Merrick. He was to appear before the king in Ellenwald Castle. His wife cried. His neighbors warned him. But Tom simply kissed her cheek and said, "If I'm going to be punished, let it be for thinking, not stealing." The castle was colder than he'd imagined, vast and echoing, with walls that held more paintings than Elderbrook had people. He was brought to the great hall, where King Aldric sat high on a carved throne, his face unreadable. "So," the king said, his voice echoing, "you're the peasant who sent me a cow with a prophecy." Tom bowed low. "Yes, your majesty." "And did she produce gold yet?" A ripple of laughter danced through the court, but not from the king. His eyes narrowed. "Tell me, Merrick, was that a clever insult or a challenge?" Tom raised his head, smile fading into sincerity. "Neither, my king. It was a warning wrapped in a gift." King Aldric leaned forward. "A warning?" Tom nodded. "You can milk the poor dry, your majesty, but even the best cow gives only so much. Push too hard and she dies. Then there's no milk, no gold, only silence." The court fell still. "Are you saying I should not collect my taxes?" the king asked. I'm saying, Tom replied gently, that a wise king feeds his people, then taxes the strength they gain. A foolish one taxes their hunger, and finds rebellion instead of revenue. The silence deepened. Then, unexpectedly, the king smiled. You're bold, he said, and either wise or suicidal. Either way, I'm entertained. He rose, descending the dais, coming to stand face to face with the peasant. Let's make a game of this, Merrick. If you can answer 3 questions I give you, I'll pardon your village from the tax and grant you land of your own. But if you fail, you'll spend the rest of your life in the dungeon beneath my feet. Tom's heart pounded, but he nodded. I accept. First question. What is the strongest force in the world? Tom didn't blink. A mother's love. It drives her to endure pain, sacrifice everything, and defy kings and gods alike. The king smiled. Correct. Second question. What is something you cannot see, touch, or own, but which rules everyone? Tom didn't hesitate. Time. It answers to no man, and we are all its servants, rich or poor. The king raised a brow. Also correct. Third question. What belongs to me, but is more powerful when it belongs to others? Tom paused, then stepped forward and said softly, Your name, your majesty. When spoken with fear, it rules, but when spoken with respect, it leads. The court held its breath. Then King Aldrich, king of Ellenwald, feared conqueror, lawmaker and lord, laughed. A long, full, unguarded laugh. You clever fox, he said. You've answered well, and taught me something I forgot. True to his word, the king not only canceled the tax on Elderbrook, he gave Tom Merrick a house, land, and a position as royal advisor of the people. A new role was created just for him, someone who would speak for the common folk, so the king could rule with both sword and ear. Tom never wore silks or rode a steed. He stayed simple, spoke plainly, and always returned to Elderbrook when he could. But when he died many years later, people said that no man had ever ruled a kingdom without wearing a crown quite like Tom Merrick, the peasant who outwitted the king.